I think we're at a point now, Ross, where we should probably kick off. Maybe Rachel, you'd like to get us started today?
Absolutely. Welcome everybody to the June learning series. It is hard to believe it is June already. We're so happy that you are all here. We are joined today by Ross. Ross, is it Bruce or Browse? I have never asked you.
Just like house or mouse or grouse or blouse.
I have a feeling you've answered that question before.
Yep, I'm used to it.
Ross is here from Continuous Networks, and he's here to talk to us about getting started with video, how to choose your topics, the equipment you need. We're very, very excited for that. Also, just a reminder that we do have our Facebook group, MSP Customer Success Facebook group. Would love to see all of you in there. Brian and I are in there. Ross is there in there also, answering all of your questions about customer success and working as a partner with your clients. So, Brian, did you have any announcements today?
No, just we're gearing up for the latest release, a little general housekeeping on the vCIOToolbox side. We're gearing up for a release this month where we're going to be introducing CIS controls and a variety of different new templates around CIS controls, Office 365 and Azure handling as well as part of our vCISO module. We're going to be adding authenticators into our system now, the Google and Microsoft authenticators as well, to help with some of the challenges I know a few people have felt on the 2FA of late. And we're going to be introducing some of the client management tools. The one most specifically that folks were asking for was the client rater. So it gives us the ability to really look at our clients on 12 different criteria that goes beyond revenue and profits, stack rank them accordingly, and hopefully find some of those diamonds in the rough we should be spending more time with. So those are the biggest things for today. And tomorrow we launch in our vCIOToolbox customer success group. We're launching our first free Friday coaching as well. So each Friday we're going to be taking a little bit of time. You know, I was inspired by Ross in some of his videos to say we need to do a little bit more. And each Friday we're going to be taking one of the segments within our system that folks have had some challenges with, understanding how to better use and do that. And I believe tomorrow we are focusing on how to do assessments for small businesses. So how to kind of streamline the process and make it the right size for those customers. So that's what I've got from a general housekeeping from vCIOToolbox. From my seat, I'm really excited that Ross is joining us today because I've really been watching over the last 6 months where he's been putting together more and more video and been impressed not only with the fact that he's putting it together and how professional it looks, but the topics he's been coming up with. And he's shared with me offline a little bit about his approach with coming up with some of those topics and how he keeps the pipeline full so videos can be made. So I'm really interested to hear him break down his process and understand better how I can do more video more effectively.
Well, first off, thanks for having me, but also thanks for getting the MFA stuff going. Like, it's been driving me nuts.
Yeah, no, it was a recognized issue, and that took some priority up on the depth chart of some feature requests. I know there's a few others coming in, but those are the big hits, and that's one.
Yep, I hear you. All right, so I'm going to share my screen just so everybody knows if they're putting any questions into the Q&A. I will not be able to see them. So Brian, if you see them and you want to hit me with a question, I'm not just here to ramble on for the next 30, 40 minutes. So if there's questions, if I'm talking about something and it doesn't make sense or you have a question, feel free to ask that question. You know, Brian, if you could send that over to me, just interrupt me. Sometimes I get going on this stuff. I get really amped up about it. So you just gotta, you've been on calls with me before. You just gotta interrupt me.
Yep. We've been on calls together, which can be dangerous.
All right. I'm sharing my screen now. You should have that up.
Absolutely, we can see it.
All right, cool. So for those of you that don't know me, my name is Ross Browse. I'm the president of Continuous Networks. And really, I want to talk with you today about why I think all MSPs should be making videos. And there's a lot of different ways to do it. And I want to go through some of what those ways are today. And really, the takeaway that I want everybody to have is, do you feel like there is a way where you can bring video into your marketing and content strategy? And if there is, I want to try to give you as much information as I can about how to do it effectively. I see a lot of people doing videos today. They get excited. They see somebody like me doing videos. And most of the time I see them just doing it completely wrong. Now, that's my opinion, of course, but I've paid a lot of money. Let's just say thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars to various coaches to learn how to do these things a very specific way. Also, full disclosure, I do have a background in film and television. I studied at New York University for film and TV about 20 years ago. So there's that. But keep in mind, it's been 20 years. So it's like kind of like riding a bike, but it still takes some time to get back into things. Okay, so agenda for today, who I am, I've told you a little bit about that before. I want to talk about why I'm making videos and what the benefits of doing that are. How I got started. We're going to watch 3 of the videos that I have. And honestly, I may need to reshare to get my sound shared so that everybody can hear that, because I don't think I clicked that box. I'm going to talk about how to create the ideas, writing the scripts, and how I remember the lines, which is really funny when you hear how I do it. Production, which is going to be shooting, lighting, and editing. And then how to use video marketing. So where do you post your videos? What are the different types? And most importantly, the big thing I'm going to talk about is call to action. And then, of course, if there's extra time, we will do Q&A. But again, if you have a question, feel free to ask. Okay, so just quickly about my history. I started my own business in 2005. It was a web hosting company. And I built it up to about $1 million in revenue. And in 2010, I merged it with my now current business partner, Jason. He and I together started Continuous Networks right after Hurricane Sandy hit. We had our own data center, and we had people coming to us to get all kinds of cloud services and put their servers in our data center. And that's what really showed us that being in the MSP world was a place that we wanted to go. So from an MSP perspective, we're only about 8 to 9 years old, but we've been in business for more than 20, if you go back to the original beginnings of his.
So Ross, we got that in common too. I think I was in Hurricane Sandy inside my data center until the storm actually started hitting me. I remember driving home on the highway and the cops wouldn't even stop me.
So
the joy of data center life, you know what I mean?
So were we. We had it staffed, and we were up on the rooftop watching transformers explode. Anyway, that's a different story. Okay, so why am I making videos? The biggest reason that, and hold on a second, I'm just going to move this screen over here so I can see my notes, because those are important. I don't want to miss stuff. Really, the most important reason I wanted to start making videos was because I wanted to establish myself as an authority with what it is I do. I'm sure if you have been out talking to a client or prospect before, you're trying to sell them a service, you're trying to sell them a cybersecurity service, maybe you're just trying to sell them a managed service, maybe you're trying to get them to move into Microsoft 365, whatever the situation is, you're out there talking with them. And oftentimes they don't have any reason to trust you. Now, if it's a client that you've been working with for a long time, then there's a bigger reason. But if it's a prospect or somebody that you were introduced to, they really don't have a reason to trust you. I mean, they don't know who you are. They don't know what your experience is. And they could sit there and you could sit there and tell them, but it doesn't count for a whole lot. And really, when you get into that meeting where you're trying to pitch a prospect, where you're trying to talk with them about what you can sell them, really the conversation has to be about them, not about you. If you go in selling and talking all about yourself, and as I call it, show up and throw up, if you do that, generally speaking, you don't end up winning the business. However, if they have some reason to trust you, and this is why we know referrals work so well, because you've got that referral partner or that referral client who says, hey, I trust this person. They do a great job. They've really brought a lot of benefits to my business. Then it can make a lot of sense. So that's what videos help you to do. They help you to establish a presence that creates credibility, authority, and trust. And that's why I began doing it. So along with that too, is just being unique. Like there's not a lot of people doing this. If you go out and look at all of the MSPs, and from the stats that I've heard, there's approximately 40,000 of us in the US, and that grows every single day. And you have to be different. In my market, in the New York market, you've really got to set yourself apart, and that's a challenge. So really being unique. And then really, I just wanted to become a better speaker, a better presenter. I wanted to be able to go into a sales presentation and feel really confident. I can tell you when I first started doing this during the pandemic, the videos I were creating were awful, and I hated looking at the camera. And at this point now, I'm staring right into a lens of the camera, I don't know, 4 or 5 hours a week, and I'm just completely comfortable with it. It doesn't bother me at all. I'm used to having that persona in front of a camera now, and that's something that comes with time.
And you've really hit on
So-
something that I think is important there, Ross. Everybody needs to understand as you get started, it's important that you hate the material you created 6 months later, right? It really comes down to that. You're going to improve over time. We started our podcast very similarly, 3 guys that had never been in front of a microphone and speaking out loud. And it just takes time to get conversational on it. So, kudos to you with the, being consistent and getting it done. But certainly, I think that's one of the things that might be the bigger fears out there. How do I get started? And what if I don't like what I'm putting out there?
Yeah. And that's
Maybe
okay. I mean, I think.
Yeah, I was going to say, maybe you can share a little bit about your experience around that.
Yeah, sure. So the first videos that if you go way back, we created some pretty awful videos. I remember one where Jason and I were sitting in front of a camera, and if I go back and watch it, it's really embarrassing. In fact, if you go to our YouTube channel, you can probably find it still there. It's really embarrassing. And then I did a bunch of videos of me sitting in my office, and I had a ring light, and I set up my 4K camera, and I thought I was a big shot and whatnot. But I'm sort of sitting there with my chest puffed out, and I'm keeping my back really straight and talking about this really serious topic, which I soon realized nobody actually gave a shit about. They weren't going to watch my video because I was going on and on about, does your service provider charge you extra for projects? I mean, it was just such like a niche video that it didn't really appeal to a lot of people. And I'll get into why some of the videos I have today are a little bit more general.
Yeah, I think just really quickly, the flip side of that also is, you can't wait until you're at that better point to get started, because then you'll never get there. You have to have the really awful videos. You have to go through that, and it's painful. Yep. But that's the only way you get better.
Yep, 100%. And if you think about the possibilities of video, one of the things that we're doing a lot, and we don't have this out there yet, but is video testimonials with our clients. We're in the process of collecting a lot of video testimonials, and then what we're doing is cutting those down into little shorts where we can create a video where it's me and then it's the client and they say some things, and I can illustrate a point by using the words that they said. Now that can be challenging because not a lot of them are going to want to be on video, but it's a process of getting them convinced to do it. And then you can shape how that is. It's like building any testimonial when they say something good about you. So if you think about the possibilities that there are with video testimonials, interviews with vendors, even just video with your employees talking about a process that you guys have or results. That may not be something you want to put out on social media, and I'll talk about that as well, but it's something that can work really well when you want to send it as a point of reference for somebody you want to work with, where they might be willing to, at that point, spend the time in watching a 2 or 3 or 4 minute video about how you guys get your results. Okay. So just so everyone knows, this is, I started doing this last year. I didn't actually hire any coaches until earlier on this year. We're still relatively new to the process, but I've been consistently releasing videos on social media now for about 2 months. And my engagement has gradually gotten bigger and bigger and bigger. I've learned a lot of the tricks and how to do various things. And I now have clients and prospects who are bringing it up. They aren't calling me saying, hey, I saw your video. Where can I give you my credit card? That's not happening. But when we're on the phone talking about a sales opportunity, or when we're on the phone talking like through a QBR, they're bringing it up. They're saying, yeah, I saw it. I loved that video. And I immediately go, oh, you watch my videos. I didn't even know. It's great.
That's a key part of the sales process, Ross. You're always trying to shift people from not knowing who you are when you step into the room to that. I think I've heard of you guys before. Even that little shift is really where the trust starts coming, and it really elevates the sales process. But I'll let you continue on.
Yeah, no, 100%. And that's what you want. You want that. You want to be able to walk into the room and have them think to themselves, I know you, I've seen you. Where? Oh yes, I've seen your videos on LinkedIn. Oh yeah, I saw your Facebook advertisement. Oh yeah, I'm on your mailing list and I saw that video that you created. I really like that. And they may see 100 videos that they hate, but there's going to be one that they like. And that's the one that they're going to remember. Okay, moving on. So where do I post my videos? Well, the main platform I post all my videos on is LinkedIn. And I see a lot of MSPs that are starting to get into this now, and they're posting various things on LinkedIn. And what I've learned, and this is not my opinion, this is based in science, this is based in a lot of coaching that I've paid for. is that most of them are just doing it wrong. Now, if you've ever heard of the guy Donald Miller, he wrote a book called Building a Story Brand. And he talks about the concept of how you cannot be the most important person in the room. Your job is to be the guide. So I'm a big Star Wars fan. Sorry to all the Star Trek fans, but I'm a Star Wars fan. And if you think about Star Wars, if you walk into a room being Luke Skywalker, the prospect's not going to be interested. You have to walk into the room being Yoda. You're there to be the guide. And they are Luke Skywalker. They are the hero of the story, and your job is to guide them. So you have to get into the mind of the buyer, think about what they're thinking about, what problems they're struggling with. And oftentimes, it's not IT. It might be driven by IT, but they're not consciously thinking, I need a better cybersecurity plan. I really need a WISP. These things aren't really going through their head all that often. They're worried about their margins. They're worried about their marketplace and their competition. They're worried about retaining their top talent. They're worried about the general things that all of us are worried about too. And so entering the mind of the buyer is really important. A few stats on why this is really relevant to LinkedIn, everything I'm saying. There are 740 million active users on LinkedIn. 176 million of those are in the US. Only 3 million users across the globe are actively creating content every day. So that's about 1% of the number of users that are on LinkedIn that are out there creating content. In Q3 of last year, the amount of content increased by 50% over previous quarters. Probably largely in part due to the pandemic, but a lot of people have turned to going online with work from home and all of that. There's a huge brand new marketing opportunity, especially as it relates to LinkedIn. LinkedIn lead conversion rates are 3 times higher than Google ads. So if you're out there looking at Google and trying to spend money and compete in the Google game, first of all, Google AdWords is an absolute shit show, pardon my French, but it is, and it's extremely costly. You can build an audience on LinkedIn for pennies on the dollar, get them engaging in your content and establish what I said before, which is creating that credibility, authority, and trust. So when you combine that with Sales Navigator, which is also a really great tool, you can create very specific prospect lists and and connect with your prospects and start engaging on their content. And as they engage with you, they get to see more content and you see their content. So when you're creating videos, those things start to show up in their feed. If you're talking about subjects that are relevant to them, they're going to start to know who you are. So if you think about a list of 1,000 people in your target market that you build out on Sales Navigator, you go out and market to that list indirectly using LinkedIn, you have a huge opportunity now for them to know who you are. So when you do call them or when you do send a general mail campaign or an email or something like that, it's not cold. They now have some idea.
So Ross, I got a question
LinkedIn
for you there, if you don't mind.
Sure.
When you're going out to these, when you're using Sales Navigator and curating your lists, are you able to actually speak to, tell the ad side of this, if you're boosting posts or whatever the case may be, to use that as kind of a target audience? Is that what you're saying? Or is it more just, kind of doing the guerrilla marketing to that group?
So you can build out your target audiences in the LinkedIn ad space. I've done the LinkedIn ads. I don't particularly care for them. And just to answer that question, if you want to go spend money on social media ads, go do it on Facebook. Facebook is a pay-to-play platform today. It is no longer an organic platform. If you want to be out there and you want to be in people's faces, then do Facebook retargeting, do Facebook ads. That's the best way to go. If you want to be on LinkedIn, I don't think you need to spend money on ads. They're extremely expensive. You want to do sponsored in-mails, they're very, very, very expensive. And I dumped a lot of money into them. The reach that you have from your organic content creation is far greater than what you're going to be able to get from LinkedIn ads. Also, the majority of people who are coming to LinkedIn are still doing it to find a new job. 50% of the people are on that platform to find a new job. So when you think about it from an organic perspective, LinkedIn is still a fantastic social network for organic reach. It's also, still labeled as the professional network. So you don't get politics. You don't get a lot of people complaining about stupid crap or airing their dirty laundry. Most people are really just there to help each other. And you kind of build these communities over time where that starts to happen. You see other people's content, you engage, they engage with yours. And over time, that really begins to unfold. There's a lot of people in the cybersecurity and IT space that are out there too that aren't specifically MSPs who love to engage and love to see things or say things and create content. I actually get a lot of my cybersecurity updates about things I didn't know or hacks that were out that I didn't know because somebody else grabbed it from a credible news source and then threw it up on LinkedIn.
Beautiful.
So LinkedIn groups or events are another great way to do. You can attend an event on LinkedIn and then you can chat up all the attendees. That's one thing I do all the time. And it doesn't count against your in-mails. Just join the event, they accept you in, and now the entire attendee list, you can see it. So if you want to go after your target market, it's a great way to do it. By the way, all these things that I'm telling you, these are all pulled from HubSpot. So it's a credible source. I didn't just make this crap up.
Yep.
LinkedIn is 277% more effective at lead generation than Facebook and Twitter. So take it for what it's worth. But if you want to go generate organic leads and you're willing to do the work and you don't want to spend tons and tons and tons of money, it's a great way to do it. Okay, so a little bit about how I got started. I was really looking for ways to add digital marketing during the pandemic. And I took some ideas from a marketing group that I'm in, and I used those to create a few ideas. If you go back and look at my original ideas, we had been sending direct mail, a lot of direct mail. We were, posting blogs. I had marketing people writing blogs, and there was all this content that was kind of built inside of it. And I wasn't really thinking with a content mindset at the time. But as we began to release more of this stuff, I was like, there's a lot of really cool ideas out here. And I just have to go in and think about, wow, this would be interesting. I'd like to know more about that. And so I just sat down and I took a few of those videos and I wrote out some very basic scripts, got in front of my webcam and I recorded it, just did a screen recording with my webcam. I threw it into Adobe Premiere Rush, created a few initial videos, slapped some titles on it and released them on LinkedIn. It was super boring. Nobody watched it. I had a couple of people go, oh yeah, I saw your video, but that was about it. It wasn't, oh, I saw your video. It was, oh yeah, I saw your video. But it was okay because I was starting to get over really what was that block that so many of us have about going out and creating content ourselves. And really it's, if I go back and watch it now, it lacked a lot of my authenticity. When you hear the way I'm talking right now, this is the way I talk in all my meetings. This is the way I talk in sales calls. This is the way I talk with my wife. She hates it. But this is me. This is how I am. So when you see any of my videos, you see me acting the way I do. That's just who I am. I act like this all the time. I'm usually pretty animated and I like to wave my arms around and I like to raise my voice a lot. Sometimes people think I'm shouting. So that authenticity didn't come across at first because I was trying to be really proper and do my thing. So you just have to be authentic.
I think the authenticity piece is so huge and it's often, honestly, one of the most difficult to unlock.
Yep.
And that takes practice also, and also it takes being really honest with yourself and being willing to look at a video and be like, oh, was this authentically me or am I trying to be something I'm not? And then just every time trying to get closer and closer and closer to that authentic you.
Yep. No, that's exactly right. And that's hard to do, but you just have to let go of what people think. Like you just have to say, you know what? I mean, you have to care. You have to care how you're presenting yourself. But I think many of us try to put on airs and the same way I was trying to be really professional. Oh, I've got to be professional. It's a professional video. No, just be yourself. That's what people appreciate, especially on social media.
Oh, yes.
I'm going to stop sharing and reshare here because I don't think I shared my sound. And I want to make sure we're going to watch a couple of these videos so you can understand what it is I'm talking about. Let me see, share sound.
While you're doing that, I will definitely be one to speak that this is one of my biggest hangups since we're starting to do more video here at vCIOToolbox. While I spend my entire day on Zoom, and you would think I'd be very comfortable and that authenticity flows through in those meetings, I really have a tough time kind of letting down my guard when I think it's something that's going to be potentially seen by a ton of people. So, I'm sure some of you out there feel the same way. That might be the biggest hangup, but what I've really come to learn and I'm trying to focus in on more is it's getting your message out there and letting it change over time. Again, I spoke earlier to what I've seen in, Ross over the last 6 months, and it's just the videos are getting more and more in his voice. And that's what's really exciting to see.
Yep. And just so for some reason, when I share the sound, my audio gets really low. So wave your hand when I play this video. If you can't see it, just wave your hand, or if you can't hear it. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you 3 videos just to kind of give you a lead into what some of these are. One is really about cybersecurity, but it's not about cybersecurity the way probably some of you are used to talking about cybersecurity. It's all about bank fraud, business bank fraud. And this was one of my highest performing videos to date. The next one I'm going to show you after that is one that we just released yesterday. And it actually is the best performing video we've ever had in a 24-hour period on LinkedIn. Highest engagement rate, highest number of views, and it continues to get a whole ton of views on it today. Had tons of people connecting with me on it. And then the last one I'm going to show you is what I consider part of my personal collection of videos, which is really important. And I'll get into that after we watch the three. So let me get in and play this video. And again, if you can't hear it for whatever reason, then just let me know. Oops. Oops. I think, there we go.
This is absolutely knocking butts. Recently, we had a bunch of business checks stolen. These checks were being intercepted, the made payable to crossed out and rewritten, and then the checks were deposited at other banks using ATMs. Literally zero human interaction whatsoever. Now, you've heard of this thing called the FDIC, right? The Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation was established by Congress following the Great Depression to help rebuild public trust in the banking system. Essentially, it was designed to prevent a run on the banks where millions of customers make withdrawals, thereby causing the entire banking system to collapse. The FDIC creates economic stability by ensuring your personal deposits at the covered banks. The FDIC covers $250,000 per depositor, per insured bank for each different account category. Now remember what I said about why the FDIC was created. Its purpose is to prevent economic collapse, not to protect you from a hacker stealing your money right out from underneath your nose. You also know the research firm Gartner. According to their research, they estimate that more than 10% of small businesses in the United States have fallen victim to banking fraud, which has caused more than $2 billion in losses for these small businesses. Now you know what this means. If a hacker steals your money from your business bank account, the bank is under zero obligation to reimburse your money. Don't believe me? Go ask your bank what their policy is on refunding stolen money from your business bank account. Want to protect yourself? Call your insurance company and make sure you have a proper crime policy that will cover stolen funds from your business bank account. Doesn't matter if it's a hacker, a dishonest employee, or a vendor. This is the only way to truly protect yourself from someone stealing your hard-earned money. Stay tuned for more cybersecurity video tips.
Okay, so
Awesome.
just a general video about bank fraud. This actually did happen to us. It's a cybersecurity topic. It really appeals to general audiences. So not just companies, but really anybody can appreciate it. It's engaging to a lot of different people, and it's a true story. So there was a lot of authenticity built into it. But these are the types of things that get people to engage and see my face and understand that I know what I'm talking about. Now, I took a lot of that stuff about the FDIC right off of Wikipedia. So, you know, every time I write one of these scripts, I have an idea and I just go out and do the research and I put a script together to make it interesting. I'll get into how some of the editing and sound works after that. So let's just go through and continue watching the videos.
I'm going to stop you there a minute,
One, I'm gonna
Ross.
show you.
I think we
What's
saw
that?
a couple people, or there was at least one person indicating that they didn't have their sound. Is there anybody else having issue hearing sound besides the one gentleman that had pinged us here? All right, I think we're good, Ross. Continue on.
Okay. So this is one that launched yesterday. I called it the iPhone Spacebar Hack video. It was something that came out on the internet in 2018, and I had all these people telling me they didn't know what it was. And so somebody who I'm friends with on LinkedIn convinced me to make this video. Really, it has nothing to do with what I'm selling, but it's technology. And people always ask MSPs about technology. And so I said, well, let's make it. It's just a general awareness video, and it'll appeal to a lot of people. And it did. It is the highest performing video to date.
Do you have an iPhone? Yeah, me too. And until last week, I thought absolutely everybody knew about the iPhone Spacebar Hack. But it turns out I was wrong. Now, I wasn't going to make this video at first because I thought everybody knew about this already. In fact, back in November of 2018, the internet practically blew up when Chrissy made this post on Twitter. But as it turns out, perhaps a lot of people still don't know about this. So I conducted a little experiment. I would ask 10 different people from 10 different geographical areas and 10 different walks of life if they'd ever heard of the iPhone Spacebar Hack. Now, the 10th person I asked was my friend Helen on LinkedIn, and she was one of the people who hadn't heard of it. So after talking with Helen, I decided I'd make this video. Now, if you're ever typing more than a couple of words on your iPhone, and it doesn't matter if it's an iMessage or Slack or WhatsApp, when you have to make a correction and you're sitting there like an idiot, jamming your finger into your phone, trying to get the cursor between the two letters that you're hoping for, it becomes extremely frustrating, and let me tell you, there's a better way. And here is how you do it. Hold the spacebar in and move your thumb to the left, right, up, or down, and your cursor will move like a mouse does on a computer. Now, this is a huge time saver, and I use it every day, especially when working with social media apps on my phone. Did you know about the iPhone Spacebar Hack? Or do you have any helpful iPhone tips that could help other users? Let me know in the comments below.
I did not know
Now,
that.
you'll notice with that one, I had a very specific call to action that did not exist in the first one. So pay attention to that because that's really important. But it did get for the size of the following that I have on LinkedIn today, it did get a lot of people interacting with it. I think it's had over 1,300 views at this point, and it was launched at 8:30 a.m. yesterday morning. So for the size of following that I have, that's incredible. I see most of the influencers that I follow that have 100,000 followers or more generally don't get more than 4,000 views on a video. And that's over the course of a week. So it's doing very, very well. And that's getting my face out there. It's getting my face out there talking about just about an iPhone, but that's really all I care about. Okay, so this next one is more of a personal video. I consider this from my personal collection. I also talk about personal topics, which is really important. I'll get into that right after I show you this video. By the way, this was about when I met Barbara Corcoran. So it's a little bit more fun.
I was at a marketing conference about 2.5 years ago, and I had the pleasure of meeting Barbara Corcoran. After she spoke, I got the opportunity to have my picture taken with her during something they call the step and repeat. When I stepped into the shot with Barbara and shook her hand, she gives me this sly look and says to me, "Oh, nice smile." And for that split second, all I could think was, what the f*** is she talking about? I got crooked ass teeth. I never wanted to smile because I was always self-conscious about my tooth. When I did smile, I would do so with my mouth closed. Barbara says to forget about perfection, that it doesn't exist. Nobody is perfect. And if you're trying to be perfect, you're likely wasting someone else's time. And that taught me something amazing. The need to be perfect comes from the fear of making a mistake, and that leads to poor choices. You rely on the opinions of others to give you a sense of self-worth. The more you focus on being perfect in the eyes of both yourself and others, the more you miss out on the uniqueness of who you are and the value you bring to other people. Barbara's advice was truly impactful. You cannot reach your true potential if you cannot accept who you are. Once you change that mindset and stop filling your head full of unrealistic expectations, you become truly impactful yourself.
Okay, so some of you might be thinking, well, why would he go and create a video like that? What has that got to do with being an MSP or selling cybersecurity or IT support? The thing is, we're all just people. We're all just people, and it's important that my prospects, that my audience know that I'm a human being too. I have flaws, I have issues, I have things to deal with just like they are, and it makes me more relatable. And when you see something like that, you see that vulnerability that I'm willing to have on camera, that I'm willing to put out there onto social media, it makes me more likable. It attracts people to you. And so creating things about yourself, about your family, is really important because the right people do actually see those things, and it creates that additional attraction to you that they might not have otherwise had if all you did was talk about business topics. And I don't want people to just think of me as somebody who's out there doing nothing but talking about cybersecurity, because after a while it just gets kind of boring. It makes me seem like a robot, like a machine. I can sit down in a room, they're like, oh yeah, I saw that video where you talked about how your teeth are crooked. What's that like? And that creates conversation. That creates conversation, and it makes people like you more. So that's why I create videos like that. I'll talk about the ratio in which I do this here. I think it's in the next slide. So the topics I speak about, and this is something that's really important, whatever you're going to put together a content strategy for video, is that you have a plan to know what it is you're going to talk about. So I spend about 50% of my time talking about cybersecurity, about 30% of my time talking about general business topics that I'm really well versed in, EOS traction, because we run it in our company, time utilization. I'm very big on that, and I have a system for it. So I talk about it a lot. Hiring, sales and marketing. These are all things I talk about all day long. So they're about 30% of the videos that I create. And then any family or personal issue. I created a video a couple of months ago about my journey with fitness and weight loss. And those types of personal issues are like that Barbara Corcoran video. So that's about 20% of it. Really, when you look at all my topics, it's cybersecurity, general business, general tech, family fitness, and personal growth and development. These are all things that I'm passionate about. So I have a lot to say. If you give me an idea or I find an idea, I can always come up with something to say about it. And I'll talk about that ideation here in a second. I want to be known as someone who's experienced in not only this technology stuff, but also in running a company. One of my coaches says, how you do anything is how you do everything. So if I'm going to be really good in cybersecurity and I'm going to be able to help you with your company and your technology, then I better know a thing or two about how I run my business. I better have a good system. I better have great hiring processes. I better have great processes all around. And that's what these videos help to show. And with the personal side, it's vulnerability. It's really a currency to being human, and that's why they're so important. So ideation, this is probably the hardest part that I've seen in all the other people that I've worked with and talked to, is how do we come up with ideas for what to talk about? Obviously, it's really easy to talk about cybersecurity, but even with that, you've got to make it relevant. You've got to make it engaging. You've got to make it interesting. I see a lot of videos that are just really boring. And the average watch time on LinkedIn is about 20 to 30 seconds of a video. And if you don't catch somebody with your headline and with what you're saying immediately, they just click right off. I get on a lot of videos and I'll watch it for 15, 20 seconds. I go, I don't want to watch any more of this. It's not drawing me in. It's not entertaining. It's not fun. So ideation, you got to think about your history. We all have stories. Past experiences with clients or vendors. What did you learn? What was a big mistake you made? Talk about a past mistake that you made. That's huge, because if you can go out and admit that you did something wrong, admit that you screwed up, people love that. They eat that up. That shows authenticity. Cybersecurity news or events like the Colonial Pipeline hack or the JBS ransomware. Those are great things. When something like that happens, how can you put a spin on it and make it engaging? How can you relate it to more people? How can you make it something that is easier to talk about? General company business and learning experiences, a conference that you attended or a show that you attended, a book that you read. As part of my content plan throughout the course of this year is to talk about a lot of the books that have been really impactful to me, some of the processes that I've learned and how that's helped me in business. That's really important too. I know as an MSP, I need to set myself apart from everybody else. And the only really great way to do that is to stop talking about technology all the time and start talking about the results that the business has using technology. That's the reason why we're all working with vCIOToolbox as well, is that's what we're there to do. So there's a lot that you can say. I've actually been getting ideas out of vCIOToolbox just by going in and look at the business insights and going, what did he say? What did she say? Yep. There's content there. There's ideas there. Any personal learning experiences you had, something your kids said, something your parents said to you. Was it funny? Was it humorous? Do you think other people would relate to it? Talk about that stuff. You can write a script around it. Everyone has stories and experiences. Most of the time, though, we're just not looking at them through the lens of this could be an interesting story. Other people probably have experienced this as well. Think about the iPhone video. That's something that drove me nuts forever. I found a solution to that problem, and I didn't make a video about it until we just released it yesterday. Well, out of all the people that commented, and I think it's up to almost 60 comments, 80% had no idea. 80% had no idea that you could do that. So it was impactful to people, and they see me now as that authority. All right, the script and the structure. This is really important because before you take out a camera, before you do anything, you have to write a script. The script is the absolute most important part of doing all of this. And what I do is sit down and write all of my specific scripts before I ever touch anything. And then I go and I look at them. I look at them through a lens of, is this interesting? Does it talk about a problem? Is there empathy applied? Do I give them a way to solve the problem? And do I have a call to action? So really the structure of every single one of my scripts is identify the problem and always be negative. I don't like positive headlines. I don't like, unless it's something that's really, really helpful or really well known, like an iPhone, I like to make it negative. The number one way you're going to get hacked. The biggest problem in your business right now, that stuff that frustrates you about your husband. Like that negativity we are all drawn to as human beings. If you use a negative headline, it is more clickbaity. It gets people to look. And then you got to apply empathy and emotion. You got to say, I've had this experience, or here's what I found, or this is this situation. I know what I'm talking about because I went through it. I understand it. And when people know that you have that empathy and that compassion for it, they're more related. It's more relatable. And then you got to provide a solution. Am I telling you what to do? People want to be told what to do. What's the one thing I should do? What's the three things I should do? I always do one or three, never two. It's one or three. People like the one thing or the three things. There's just something about those numbers in the universe that people are drawn to. Always do one or three. And that's the takeaway. What can I take away from this? And then I have to engage them. I got to tell them, I want you to leave a comment, share with me something. And it's never a true or false question. It's never a yes or no question. It always should be, what do you think about this? Or in the iPhone video, it was, what do you have any hacks or things that you know about that will make people's lives easier? That open-ended call to action is really important because that's what drives people engaging with you on social media. So there should always be a call to action.
And I got to assume too,
on your website, there should be CTAs in your video too.
And Russ, I got to assume when you do those kind of call to actions, those are also great ways to get future content topics for yourself, correct? So you start seeing some of those challenges those folks are running into, and that certainly gives you an opportunity to engage.
Yep, absolutely. I mean, you're effectively asking everybody to give you new content ideas. And then you can remix it. The thing is, most of this content's not original. Somebody else has released a video about how to do that with their iPhone, probably 100 times over. You don't have to be completely original with all your content. What makes it original is when you make it authentic and you apply it to you. You saw that I was sitting there going like this because I know that feeling. I know that feeling of going, oh, it won't go where I want it to. It's so frustrating. And because I felt that way and you saw that came across in the video, people go, I know that feeling. Now, when you talk about the bank fraud video, I was a little bit more reserved because that was more of a serious topic, but people watched it. People watched it all the way through. It held their attention. So video structure, you probably noticed that the video cuts a lot. We call it cut style editing. Most of the videos you want anywhere between 30 and 90 seconds. I've got a couple that are longer. If the story is really, really good, you can go longer, but it's got to be really good. That bank fraud video, and we've got the sequel coming out next week, how that situation has progressed. They're usually about 2.5 minutes because there's a little bit more of a story I need to tell there. But because this story is engaging, people watch it. But most of the time, keep it really short. 30 to 45 seconds is like the optimal length for a video. I see people releasing these like 10-minute videos and I'm going, man, nobody is watching that. Nobody. Subtitles. 85% of people who watch videos on social media do it with zero sound. If you don't have subtitles in your videos, you are missing out because they are missing what you're saying. They're not going to watch it with the sound on. I go to all this trouble to put.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead. I was just going to say, I appreciate so much that you subtitle all of your videos because I am that person. I never have my sound on because I hate wearing headphones when I don't have to wear them. And I share an office with my husband. So I'm not going to play sound on my computer. and every time I scroll past one of your videos, I stop and watch because there are subtitles and I know that I can watch it. And it makes me so happy.
You've got to have subtitles.
And how are you doing those subtitles, Ross? Or is that something you're going to get into in a moment?
Yeah, I'm going to talk about that in just a second.
Sure. We'll hold that off then.
Yeah, hold that off. So 30 to 90 seconds, subtitles, high energy. It's got to be engaging. If you sit in front of the cameras talking like this is a really important topic that I think you need to know about. Even if you're like, this is a really important topic. It just loses people. They want to talk with you like they met you in a bar. That's it. Have a conversation. They want to have a conversation. That's why people are there. That's what makes you relatable. If you try to put on this show like you're making some corporate video presentation, you're not going to get anybody. And then you've got to think about story brand, like I mentioned before, conserving calories. People, you are asking them to stop out of their busy day and engage with you and take time out of their schedule to watch your stuff. If you're going to do that, you've got to be respectful about their time. And that's why the cut style works so well, because we cut all of the pauses out. I recorded that iPhone video sitting right here in this chair at this desk. I just had background turned around, and on my lap was my script. And the camera's right here, and I say the line, and I go, okay, say the next line. Okay, say the next line. And then when I cut it together, we cut all those things out. So what it looks like is that I'm having this fluid presentation to the camera, when really there's this huge video that I'm cutting down, and I'm cutting everything out because I'm staring down into my lap at the script. So it works really, really well to do the cut style edits because you don't have to memorize anything. I actually have a teleprompter here as well. When I want to do something that's longer, the teleprompter works really, really well. But honestly, just a piece of paper and doing the cut style works better.
But honestly, also think of all those videos you've seen where people try to freeform it. There's just a lot of fat in the conversation, a lot of redundancy.
Yeah.
But also just kind of going back to the same topic sometimes because they're not looking at a script. They're not kind of following that piece. So the jump cuts really work well in that manner.
Yeah, absolutely. And call to action, call to action, call to action, call to action. If you like this, if this made you feel something, tell me how it made you feel. Tell me about an example when this happened to you. Tell me if you know what this is or can share anything. Leave it in the comments below. That's a call to action in a video. Say that. It's for social media. Say that. If you're going to post this on your website, then take another call to action. You can be more selly on your website. Click the button below to schedule a call. And that's all you should be doing on your website anyway, is scheduling calls with people. That's what you want to do, is get them on the phone. Okay, so production. This is important, but it's also not as important as I'm going to make it sound. So you need to have a camera. This could be your webcam. It could be your iPhone. You don't need more than your iPhone. I go a little nuts. I told you I have the film background. I know how to do all this stuff. Don't waste your time obsessing over all kinds of complex camera equipment. Most of the people I know that are making videos are doing it on their iPhone. It goes right into your, you can take it right into your computer. You can edit in Adobe. It's much easier. But you do need a tripod sometimes. They do make little tripods like what I have my microphone on my desk where you can hold your iPhone up. There's stands, there's things that you can do. Most of the videos you're probably going to create are you staring right into the camera. It's going to be more about the messaging than anything. So you got to have a good microphone. Now you could wear AirPods if you want. You could use the microphone on the iPhone. A lot of people do. If you want to get into some nicer microphones, I use a Scarlett microphone on my computer, which looks a little bit more like this one. That's not this one. And there's also all kinds of different lavalier mics. You can buy like a wireless lavalier mic on Amazon for 50 bucks, 75 bucks. I use those all the time because the sound is really rich and warm, and it makes it feel warmer when people do watch the sound. But remember what I said, 85% of people on LinkedIn watch it with no sound. So lighting is easy. You can get a ring light on Amazon for 50 bucks. Get a desk ring light. I've got a stand-up ring light in my office. Even the lights I have in here, there's two big box lights in here that are made by a brand called Newer, N-E-W-E-R. They're on Amazon. I think I paid 150 bucks for the pair. I've got a couple of lights that are shining at my background. Those are another 150 bucks for those pair. They're LED lights. You can change color temperature. You don't have to go crazy here. Buy a ring light if you don't want to do all this. A ring light just gives you good lighting. What you don't want is a dark video. You want to create contrast on your face. I like to do one side lighter and one side a little bit darker because it makes it a little bit more dramatic. If you just go into this dark room and you've got terrible lighting, it's not as visually engaging to the user. Editing software, I'd recommend Adobe Premiere. I use Final Cut Pro because I'm a Mac guy. My team and I use Final Cut Pro. We're on Macs. Adobe Premiere works great. It's what the industry usually uses. If you want to hire an editor, they're all over Upwork and Fiverr. You can hire an editor to cut your videos. They're all using Adobe Premiere. So it's really super simple. Royalty-free music. If you want to, you can use a Canva. Canva is 13 bucks a month for their pro version. Canva is great for putting presentations together. I made this whole slide deck in Canva. I love it. You can do video in Canva. They've got all kinds of graphics and titles and things. I also use this program Veed. I like Veed because I master in Final Cut Pro. You upload the video that you master and it auto does the subtitles for you. I don't have to sit there and type them out. All those subtitles are just done automatically. You have to make a couple of edits here and there, but for the most part, it gets them done really well. It takes 45 seconds to do a 2-minute video with subtitles, and it takes you another 5 or 10 minutes to correct it. It's easy. And then you can master it out. You can make it the box. Everything on LinkedIn is you want 1080 by 1080, the square frame. Instagram, it's going to be like your story. Everything that you can do on LinkedIn can also be done on Facebook. It's the same format. So you really only need 2 if you want to do Instagram.
Yeah, and I just want to say, if anyone is looking at this list and it's overwhelming, pick one thing. Start there. Fix your lighting.
Yep.
Do a couple of videos. Once you've got your lighting down and you know what that setup is, then do sound.
Yep.
Once you've figured that out, try editing on your own. It's just building it up.
Yep. And just start getting in front of the camera and talking and making something.
Yeah.
Just, come up with an idea, write it, and get in front of the camera. You have to get comfortable in front of the camera. When I started last fall, it had been a long time since I'd been in front of the camera. And in fact, when I was in school, I was used to being behind the camera. So being in front of the camera took some time to really get comfortable with it. Now I don't care. Like I'm just talking, like I'm just sitting at a bar and it doesn't matter. Camera's rolling. Okay, cool. So, I don't worry about my wife recording me when I'm acting like an idiot. I'm just like, cool, you should post that on social media. That's probably funny to somebody. So video marketing. I post on LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube. Everything goes on YouTube. I want my entire library on YouTube. We're getting some views on YouTube. YouTube can be good if you want slightly longer stuff as well, but you should always get it up everywhere. Facebook, if you want to send it to your friends, sometimes I do to my friend list. I do more like the fun and personal stuff because people tend to like that more. I don't do most of my cybersecurity videos unless I'm just like, you know what? I want to see what people say on my personal friend list on Facebook. Facebook is going to be your company page and ads. Don't bother boosting posts on Facebook. You really need to do real Facebook ads and retargeting. That's the best way to do it on Facebook. LinkedIn, it goes in your feed. When we're talking about cut style video editing, when we're talking about these topics, that is for the LinkedIn feed. People are going to see it on your feed, and that's going to go out to your network. And when they engage with it, their networks are going to see it. I don't know how much you know about LinkedIn, but when your contacts, when your connections like and comment on your stuff, their connections see that they did that. So they can see your content too. It goes out to your second and third connections. Email marketing is a great way to do it. We send out email to our email list and we send the videos out. We don't link it to social media, it links it to our website because there's a call to action on our website to get them to book a call. But we send out very basic email. It's the same methodology. Here's the problem. Here's the empathy. Here's the solution. Click the link to watch the video. And then when they watch the video on the website, there's the call to action. It's great for vlogs. If you want to do a vlog on your website, general awareness stuff, you're creating content there. You take all the text to the video too, and that's great for SEO purposes because every time you upload the video, we upload all the text to the video. It gets transcribed. There are services where you can transcribe. I can't think of what they are off the top of my head because I don't handle any of that. But that's all good for SEO, especially if you're talking about cybersecurity stuff.
Rev is the big one there just to help out.
Yeah. And then customer awareness and upselling, events, upgrades, special offers, announcing new offerings to your clients. Video is a great way to do it. It's better than just sending a plain old email. Sending a video, people are more engaged with. In fact, the statistic I pulled, I want to say this came from HubSpot, was that 59% of senior executives said they'd rather consume something by video than via text. There you go. So types of videos, social media, LinkedIn, don't make a sales pitch on LinkedIn. Never, ever, 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 ever make a sales pitch on LinkedIn. People hate it. Don't do it. You hate it when people are chatting you up and connecting with you and doing a sales pitch. Don't make a sales pitch in your videos. Don't do it. Facebook, make a sales pitch. That's the best place to do it. That's where people are expecting to see it. YouTube, create it as an archive. Email, short, create awareness, very short videos, very short emails, link it to your website. And campaign, speak directly toward your customer's problem. What are they struggling with? What are they suffering with? Why should they take the time out of their day to watch your video? Keep it short, make an offer. I can solve your problem for you. That's what it should be when you're sending it out, which is going to be different than what you do for LinkedIn.
All right.
And that's what I got.
So at the top of this, Ross said he wasn't going to talk for 45 minutes. And I'd just like to say he exceeded that by 10.
I lied.
But that said, let's open it up for questions and answers. If anybody's got a question that they'd like to ask, please feel free to either raise your hand over in chat or put it into Q&A. We'd love to hear from you.
While people are thinking about that, I'm just curious, Ross, would you be willing to just put together a very short equipment list of a couple of things?
Sure.
Maybe even just, are we sending the slides out with the replay, Brian?
We can send the link that that Ross provided.
Yeah, I can
That
throw it
might
into
work.
a PDF for you. It'll probably make it easier for everybody with
Sure.
the PDF.
Yeah, just in case anyone was curious about what those, what the equipment was that Ross was talking about.
Yeah, sure. I'm happy to throw together a few links from Amazon just to show you guys some of the stuff that I have.
We can include that in the live replay post or the replay posting we put up on vCIOToolbox.com as well. So you can get to those items and that way.
Great.
Cool.
Also, I just want to reiterate about the script and the I forgot the term you used for the style of editing, but yes. So one of my pandemic projects was I was putting together a YouTube channel, short-lived, and it's so freeing that you know that you're going to be cutting it very quickly anyway. So you don't have to get the line perfectly right. You don't have to memorize a whole bunch of material. You just have to remember one sentence at a time, maybe two.
Yep. And I do it a couple of times. So I'll take the script and I'll say, okay, that's the line. I can remember it for a couple of seconds. And then I say it and I deliver it, and then I'll deliver it a different way the second time, so that when we're going back and editing it, we have two choices. How did that sound? How did it come together? Which one sounded better?
How, just curious, how long does it typically take you? Can you, I mean, I know every video is a different length, but for your shorter videos, approximately how long does it take you to make them?
That iPhone video took about an hour and 10 minutes. From the moment I started rolling, I mean, the script took time to write, but from the moment we started rolling the camera, and I didn't actually have my marketing manager here helping me with that one. I did that one by myself, and I wanted to put it together quickly, so he didn't help me with the editing at all. From the moment I started rolling the camera until it was completely ready on LinkedIn was an hour and 10 minutes.
That's amazing.
It's awesome.
Yep.
All right.
It's not that hard. Once you get it down, it's not that hard. But I wouldn't suggest that most CEOs or people do that on their own. I would say hire an editor. I can do it really quickly because I've got that background and I know the software really well, and it's bing, bang, boom, and it's done. But I would hire somebody on Upwork or Fiverr to do it for you. It's much easier.
And we just got a question in from Nathan. He's asking, can you list places that do well on video editing again? So I think you just said that Upwork's a good source for finding video editors, and Fiverr can be a source as well.
Better. Yeah, I like Upwork better. And I've done a lot of, I don't do motion graphics work. So I've done a lot of motion graphics work for our more promotional style videos. And I've gotten all that done. Usually like $30 an hour for high-end, motion graphics work on Upwork. And I've been happy with it. It's turned out really well.
All right. Any other questions before we close out with Ross today? Well, as always, I'd like to thank everybody for joining us this month on the vCIO Toolbox Learning Series. I certainly want to thank Ross for joining us and sharing some of his wisdom on how he got started on this. I know for me personally, it was great to hear how you organize and structure, because that's probably my biggest struggle as we're trying to deploy some more video. How do I get started, right? And I think that's where most of the folks that were on the call today are probably struggling as well. This call was recorded, will be put back up on the vCIO Toolbox site. So you'll see that under learning resources, you will find all of our previous sessions as well as what we're going to be posting with Ross today. And, we look forward to hopefully having everybody join us again next month. Ross, anything you want to close with?
No, I mean, just go out there and do it. It's freeing once you start to do it, and there's not a lot of people doing it. So, I mean, there's almost no MSPs that are out there doing this, and I'm sure it'll seem silly at first. And, we're all kind of stuck in this idea that stuff's supposed to generate leads and business immediately, and it doesn't. Like, it's a long-term play, building yourself up as a credible source in your local area, in your marketplace. And it's just going to take you time to do that. You can't do it for a couple of weeks and give up. You got to do it like a long time. Do it for a year and then decide whether or not it's working.
All right. So with that, I'd like to thank everybody for joining us today, and we'll see you again soon.
Thank you.